So what kind of aircraft do we have here?
This is an A-10 Warthog.
Okay, how long have you been flying it?
21 years.
So when you finish with the military, do you intend to go into flying airlines?
I already do. I've been flying for United Airlines for 18 years. I fly the 737. I'm based in Denver. It's pretty neat that we can do both. And so I fly in the reserves down there in the Guard. So I only fly this between 5 and 10 days a month, and I fly at the airline 15 days.
Nice.
Hugely, yes, definitely a lot more than when I started 20 years ago. I was the 11th woman to fly the A-10, and it wasn't exactly welcoming environment that I got into. It was, in fact, pretty hostile. Nowadays, there's a lot of opportunities. In fact, about 60% of the women-focused aviation scholarships go unclaimed.
Can you tell me a little bit about this aircraft?
Yes, hello. This is a KC-135 aircraft. This one was originated from 1958. We carry a lot of gas for a lot of receivers. That's our sole purpose as the straight-out taker. I've been flying for 6 years. I started flying when I was a teenager. But yeah, this aircraft is amazing because our main purpose is transporting fuel to receivers, of course. So we've got different gas tanks that we can transfer for each receiver. We also have a capability to transport a lot of cargo, people, and we do aeromedical evacuations as well.
Not as well. You have to manually disconnect our receivers. So we have to be very vigilant and on your game, making sure that they stay within the envelope and you don't break anything. And you also keep your receiver or your pilots up front safe and them safe as well from a collision. So those are your gauges to keep them in the envelope, and then you have your telescoping lever, your rudder control stick, and then everything else is lights. A lot of knobs for lighting. So for night refueling, and then this is how we would open and close our sighting door. So this actually comes up, and that's how you would see a lot better. But for aerodynamics, it's easier for it to be down when we're just flying.
Of course.
Yeah. And so then as an instructor, we would lay here, and then we would help our student who would be in the seat there. And then you have our requirements. You have to get 500 in this airframe, and you have to have 700 in just aviation in order to be an instructor. So they want you to have that experience and kind of have the knowledge before they have you teaching the young booms.
So what is the helicopter?
This is the AH-1Z Cobra. It's the attack helicopter for the United States Marine Corps. I've been flying this aircraft for 7 years. I've deployed 3 times. Once was on a forward air control tour, and that was with an infantry unit where I was controlling aircraft like this from the ground. And then the 2 other times was in Okinawa, Japan.
Do you fly in the front seat or the back seat?
Both. So it depends on what you're doing for the mission that day and where you want to sit.
So do you have somebody in charge of the missiles?
Yeah. So both cockpits are essentially identical, and you can shoot from either cockpit. So it just depends on who's wanting to fly that day and who's wanting.
So who are the pilots?
Myself and Anthony Romeo.
And how long have you been flying?
Just under 2 years. I've been flying for about 8 years. So we have a pilot in command and then a pilot. So we always have 2 pilots up front.
What model aircraft is this?
This is a Mike model.
UH-60.
UH-60 Mike, yeah. Lieutenant Romeo just got picked up for pilot in command, so she's gonna have her evaluation ride soon. So not too long, we'll both be pilots in command. That's pretty cool.
So what do you do with this helicopter?
Yeah, so normally we'll have 2 40 door guns on the side, and these 2 gentlemen operate those. And so we're with Lieutenant Romeo can kind of talk about the battalion and the brigade that we're with.
So we're in the assault battalion, and we just do a wide variety of missions, from air assaults to air movements to VIP flights. Really, our mission set is very encompassing.
Yeah, very diverse.
What's your favorite mission to do, Sergeant Miller?
I enjoy Kazovac when we're retrieving wounded soldiers. That is my favorite mission. Sergeant Olson.
I prefer aerial gunnery, shooting the armament out the side, practicing our arms.
This is an MH-65 Echo helicopter with the United States Coast Guard.
How did you become a pilot?
So I became a pilot. I went to the United States Coast Guard Academy and I graduated with a degree in naval architecture and marine engineering actually. And I spent 2 years on a boat and I applied and for flight school. I got picked up for flight school and we spent about 2 years in Pensacola, Florida at Naval Flight School. And from there we learn how to fly both airplanes and helicopters if we get selected. And after that we learn our specific helicopters. So I learned the MH-65. We're primarily a search and rescue helicopter, but we also do law enforcement and fisheries patrols as well.
What would you say to a young girl that considering a career in aviation?
I would say that start young. Go to school, do well in school, make sure that you're focused on your studies, and anyone can do it. Everyone out there that puts their mind to it can become a pilot. They can work in aviation. When you go to places like this, ask a lot of questions, get out there, learn about different types of aircraft, because there are so many aircraft that do so many different missions. So you might not like one type of aircraft, but there might be another one that's really intriguing to you.
So do you like this job?
I do. I'm pretty new to the job. I've only been flying for about a year, and unlike Abby, I haven't gotten any rescues. But the flying's pretty cool. It's definitely unique, and I lost one of my patches to one of the Marine Corps people. But I'm not from Port Angeles. I'm stationed in Coos Bay, Oregon. So still on the Pacific Northwest coast for the United States, and it's just definitely interesting flying. Most of our rescues are cliff rescues or like inland cases where you're hovering over like 200-foot tall trees and trying to hold a hover and rescue somebody out of the trees, and just crazy surf zones and things like that. So definitely interesting, challenging flying, but I think it's rewarding. And